To watching this series about me buying a bookstore, starting a bookstore. Let me give you the brief little synopsis. I leased this space here, which was a bookstore before for 12 years up until the pandemic closed it. I leased it at the end of 2020 and also purchased all the inventory that is here that you see. Plus there was even more inventory in that back room. On the shelves, as well as in boxes in a little space behind the bathroom, which is in the back. So it was many thousands of books, the majority of which out here on the sales floor I have not gone through, and also, which are not here, there was a whole row of books, hundreds and hundreds. It might have been, it was a lot. More, what do you call them? Bookshelves here. There was another bookshelf here against the wall. So there was even more books that I cleared out to free out the space and pull up the rugs. There was old dirty rugs and clean the floor. So I leased the space back then. I was not looking for a second space. I already had one, as you guys know. If you've been watching this, in 2019, the end of 2019, I rented a warehouse space that has now been mostly converted into a store, which is open every week. So I wasn't looking for a second location, but it fell in my lap. I purchased a bunch of books that they had in storage first, and then talked about the space and found out how much it was going to be. I thought it was going to be way more than it ended up being. And I do regret, I actually regret getting the space because it has been more of a pain in the butt than anything else. I didn't want a second space, but you live and learn. And we're trying to make it work. So that's sort of the long and short of it. And here we are in 2024. It is, what is it? It's May 15th, Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. And I've spent the last couple of hours, 2.5, close to 3 hours here in the store going through books. And that's the big process, right? Is to go through the books book by book to figure out if there's ones in here, which I'm always finding to sell on eBay and or Amazon for more money, and whether or not to keep them in the store. And in the back there, a lot of the books that were on the sales floor that I pulled off, like I said, to clear up the floor and free up space in the store to open to the public, I've been still going through those. So I would spend an hour going through 2 boxes in the back, found some to sell on eBay, some that we're going to keep in the store here, some we're going to get rid of, some we're going to put in the other store. So it's a matter of sorting through everything. So also I've been slowly going through this area here. I already went through all from the top there, not the very top, but where it says below do-it-yourself manuals and then it's biographies and autobiographies. I've gone through all of that. Now they're alphabetized. It's only ones that I want to keep in the store. I pulled a bunch that didn't make sense to keep in the store, and also ones that are listed on eBay now. And then I've been doing that with bibliophiles, which is books about books. So books about writers, books about writing, books about reading, books about books, and that's been pared down to just that bottom one and those couple books there, bottom shelf. And now there is the poetry that I'm slowly building up, alphabetizing. This is all poetry and more poetry, etc., all the way to the top. And that's the one I'm attacking now. I finished off this whole section. So anyway, I've been finding some good stuff to sell online. Now, since I last talked, we hadn't yet had the debacle with the front window. So the update is that we got a new window a while ago now. We've had the new window. We got it pretty recently after it broke, a few weeks. And the reason is because, without naming names, there was an organization that immediately found a glass company, but we didn't say that we wanted to immediately replace it. Anyway, so long story short, I can't tell you how annoying it is when we're not open, but people walk by and stare in the store. And then when we're open, nobody walks by and comes in the store. So anyway, that's what I'm going to talk about next. But so the glass was replaced because they had already ordered it, all that stuff. And as you know, as part of this channel, we started a GoFundMe, which some of you viewers may have contributed to, which we thank you very much for that. It ended up not covering the entire cost, but it covered a good part of it, more than half. So that was very helpful. And it's a beautiful new glass window. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. So it was someone that came along, vandalized, broke a bunch of windows in the area. They ended up catching the person. As far as I know, they're sitting in jail. I'm not 100% sure, but they are going to be prosecuted, which doesn't help get money back for out-of-pocket expenses. But anyway, and insurance, we don't have insurance. Even if we had insurance, it might not have covered it due to the high deductibles. So to answer any of those questions, the area, it's a downtown business area. So there's lots of, there's a restaurant there, there's a clothing store down there, there's an antique store next to me, there's another restaurant down there, there's Antique Row. So it's a downtown area. It's technically called the Arts Colony. They just had something called the Art Walk, which they do monthly, which was last Saturday, which is our best day to be open, because we have been open since January 6th, I believe, the first weekend of the month. And so we had some data to look at, and we found out that the second, they have the Art Walk on the second week Saturdays of each month, second Saturday and the fourth Saturday, which is an event put on by a local company that has vendors and whatnot and music, and brings out a good amount of people. The second and fourth Saturdays were the best days that we've had sales wise. So we decided to cut back our hours. This is a segueing into a different topic of the video, from the glass being broken. But it's unfortunate that does happen. But yeah, so we decided to pare back our hours from being open every Friday and Saturday to only Saturday, second and fourth Saturdays, because those are the two best days. And why do we do that? Well, we are paying someone to run the store because I am working at my other location on those days, except for later, because we were open 2 to 8 p.m. and I was working till 5 on Friday and Saturdays. And we're paying somebody. So ended up that those other days, every Friday was very slow. When I say very slow, I mean very slow. I mean, sometimes we would have 1, 2, 3 sales. We'd make literally like $10, $20 on a good Friday. We'd make $40 of gross sales. And then Saturday we double or triple that, especially on this. Well, the second is always the best Saturday day that we're open of the month, but which I'll talk about more. But basically, it just wasn't working out. So we had to cut those hours back. So now we're just open 2 days a month, essentially. But what we've started to do, oh, right, before I talk about that. So basically, it's because the area is really dependent on, it's event dependent for the local businesses. If there are not events, hardly anybody's down here. It's an area that's not really like, it's old, right? Like it looks older. It's been around a long time. The city's very old. This area, the Antique Row across the street, it's an area that doesn't bring a lot of people unless there's an event, because there's not that much down here. I mean, there's businesses, right? Like our business, but there's a few restaurants. There's a record store. There's a across the street, which you can't see, but it's behind that building. There's something called the Fox Theater, which is an old theater that puts on events. There's a concert venue down the street. But by and large, there's not enough businesses to bring a lot of people down here on a consistent basis, even on a Friday and Saturday without an event. So because of that, we had to cut back our hours, because we can't keep paying somebody even minimum wage and not even breaking even. So we've refocused that person onto helping us list on eBay, and hopefully that goes well. But of course, as you know, eBay is slower right now because it is May, going into the summer. These are the slower months. So that's just, that's a reality as well. So we've cut back the hours, and something that we're going to do though to try to get more interest is put out other media. So we already put out some Blu-rays. People did buy some Blu-rays. I can already tell because there were more there. And then we're going to start bringing in other media. Test it out. You know, it's going to be DVDs, CDs, records. See what happens. So that's kind of where we are. I don't know if this is considered a downer episode, but that's the reality. If we were in an area where we could be open on a Tuesday, a Thursday, a Sunday, any day of the week, essentially. Monday is usually the slowest, but there's even areas, you know, other cities nearby that I live in, for instance, where there's a downtown area. Even on a Monday, there's a lot of people around. So it depends on the area, right? Like if we were in that area, number one, there'd be way more people, and even a bookstore could maybe sell enough to stay open. But if we had, you know, the same kind of store that I have at the warehouse, where it's not just books, it's also movies, music, video games, that would definitely do well in that area because there's so many people. But here, you know, we get lots of people essentially a couple days a month. Art walk is when people come out and look at people's art. They're displaying out, you know, they have displays out on close the street down, they have them out on the street and whatnot. And it brings a lot of people and artsy people. They're into art, tend to be into books, so they come in and they buy books. So that works out well, but that's only once a month. And that's not even a ton of money. It's enough to pay for our employee working. It covers their, you know, that week even. But anyway, so it's really expensive to get into those other locations. You know, that's what you do as a business owner, right? You try to sell the right thing, sell enough of it so you can pay your rent and pay your employees and pay your utilities and all that stuff. And this location still doesn't pay for itself. So we are exploring options. We've also considering renting out the space for events, whatever. We're exploring options basically. And so in the meantime, I'm going through all of the books, finding all of the best stuff that I can sell online. Once I get through all of that, I will have cleared off a lot of shelf space, and we'll have a lot more space to put out other media. We're going to really focus on certain things, right? Like we're putting out Blu-rays, so I'm going to try to go big on the Blu-rays. You know, when it comes to like, oh, should we put out CDs? Well, let's focus on a certain genre. Let's do just oldies, or just classic rock, or just 80s. You know, so there's a lot of the people that come down here tend to sort of be a little younger, like under 40 in general. Of course, there's other people that are over 40 that come in, but in general, it's a little younger. So we're trying to, you know, put stuff out that they might be into and just focus on certain things. But in the meantime, you know, we're, like I said, going through everything, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to open, or I didn't open. Number one, we had to hire somebody, and number two, I hadn't gone through all the inventory. Like going through it now, there's a lot of stuff on the shelves. I'm like, well, no wonder people aren't buying these particular books, because they're super outdated. If no one's buying them on Amazon, why would someone come in here and buy it? I mean, they might, some items for sure, but it gives a good indication that, you know, a textbook or certain types of books that just don't make sense having in the store. And I'd rather put out books that I'm bringing in that are better, you know, like a lot of the new stuff that I'm bringing in potentially can do better than what we have here. So that's what I'm really going for. So that's the update, guys. I know it's been a little while, you know, good and bad. Eventually, if this store does not work out by the end of this year in terms of even just breaking even, if we can't figure out a way, we might have to vacate it because of the location, which is too bad, but it's all a learning experience. And there's still a lot of great books here that I'm coming across. And we'll see if we can turn it around. Because again, even if it can just pay for itself, I'm happy, right? And then we can kind of build on top of that. But we haven't even got to that point yet. So it's the reality of opening a local small business, especially a bookstore. I think that it depends on the neighborhood. It depends on the demographics. That's why, you know, the success of my warehouse store has been because I don't just sell books. I sell all the other stuff that you guys see. And I sell way more non-book media, then I sell books in that store. And that's, you know, the vinyl is really popular. CDs are popular. Blu-rays are popular. DVD, you know, so even some, you know, cassette tapes. So that's what we're going to start dabbling in here. And really, the idea is to slowly convert it into a similar type of store that we have in the warehouse. And, you know, during that process, see if it's actually going to work. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.